Welcome to video podcast number 29. As you already know, I'm going to lay it out again. If I do a video podcast that centers around profound knowledge, wisdom, insight, and advice, that's typically either going to be exclusively on my patreon.com page below, or I might have it on YouTube for maybe 2, 3, 4 days and then transfer it over to my patreon.com page. Patreon.com/mode1, MODEONE. If I leave a video podcast up for free here on YouTube and it stays on here indefinitely, that means it's representative of more of a rant, a ramble, and or general commentary. Rant, ramble, admonishment, and or general commentary. More than likely, this video podcast number 28, is going to fall into that category. Matter of fact, my very last video, I'm going to transfer that over to Patreon. The one called Questions, and Even More Questions. That was video podcast number 28. Yeah, I'm going to make that only exclusively available. A lot of guys like that. I got a lot of emails, a lot of Facebook inbox messages. A lot of guys took those questions to heart, including a lot of my international followers. So, yeah, I'm glad I did that. You know, it doesn't have that many views. Probably in terms of YouTube views, it's funny, that's one of my lowest viewed video podcasts. I don't even think it has 1,000 views yet. But of the guys who did watch it, they enjoyed those questions I asked. A lot of guys wrote me and said those were some powerful questions that provoked them to engage in self-examination. And that's what I want all my clients and potential clients to do, is engage in self-examination. See, that's what a self-help guy does. That's what a guy who's a coach does. I'm a dating coach. Okay? I'm not just a guy with opinions on dating and relationships. I'm a dating coach. Do you understand that? You understand what I'm saying when I say a coach? And you know where I'm headed with this. Yeah, I'm going to touch on this whole whining and complaining piece since I've been getting so much blowback on that. Not so much on my own channel, but on other people's YouTube channels. So yeah, Alan Roger Currie is about to touch on it again. Because you see, think about Steve Kerr, coach of the world champion Golden State Warriors of the National Basketball Association. Now, do you think when he calls timeout, he goes into the huddle and talks about what's wrong with the Cleveland Cavaliers? What's wrong with the San Antonio Spurs? You think he talks about what's wrong with the Portland Trail Blazers? No. He talks to his team about what they're doing wrong and what they're failing to do right. That's what he talks about. That's what all coaches talk about. You think the coach, what's his name, Bill Belichick of the New England Patriots, goes into a huddle, a timeout, and talks about what the other team, what's wrong with them, what's wrong with their behavior? You think he does that? No. He talks to his players about what they're doing wrong, what they're failing to do right. That's what a coach does. I'm gonna post article I wrote for the Negro Manosphere down below. Matter of fact, I'm gonna post 2 articles that relate to what I'm gonna talk about today. One real quick thing is another YouTube personality. He said, it wasn't too harsh of a comment, but he made a general comment. He said, Anybody can call themselves a dating coach or a relationship expert. You don't need educational credentials as a mandatory prerequisite for becoming a dating coach or a relationship expert. And you don't need any type of board certification. And I wrote an article about that on the Negro Manosphere. And one guy I highlighted was Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is a multi-millionaire life coach. And he doesn't have a college. My voice is fading away. Oh, wait, before I go on. Man, I got beef. Ain't that the understatement of the year? I've been having some beefs, all right. But no, you know my favorite drink is Vitamin Water Zero. In my local grocery stores, I don't know if it's become increasingly popular, but it's been selling out at least 2 or 3 of my local grocery stores. Can't find it. I either can't find Vitamin Water Zero, period, or more specifically, the top 3 flavors that I love, which is strawberry lemonade, lemon squeeze, and go-go mixed berry. I've been there twice in the last 3 days. Can't find them. So now I've been having to go with buy. Matter of fact, after this video podcast is over, I'm about to go look once again for some Vitamin Water Zero. And if I can't find Vitamin Water Zero, I'm going to have to go with this. Buy. It's good stuff. I told you, my only drawback to this stuff, it got caffeine in it. I don't really like to drink anything with caffeine, excuse me. Now, one thing I like about this, I love peach. I love anything. Anybody who really knows me in real life knows I love peach anything. Peach cobbler, peach beverages. I love peach. And this is Panama peach. That's one thing. Vitamin Water Zero don't have a peach flavor, at least not that I know of. So they missing out because, yeah, brother loves him some peach. But, where was I? I think I might have been admonishing you guys. See, I told you, man, you should be able to do audio podcasts and video podcasts and lose your train of thought. Panama Peach made me lose my train of thought. But yeah, oh, I know what I was talking about. Yeah, this guy said, a fellow YouTuber said that anyone can call themselves a dating coach or a relationship expert. I would probably 2/3 agree with that and 1/3 disagree with that. The guy who said that, he's right. You don't need a particular educational credential to start a career as a dating coach. Like, you don't have to have a bachelor's degree, you don't have to have a master's degree, you don't have to have a PhD, any of that. Now, there's some advisory positions that deal with dating relationships that you do. I wrote an article about that on the Negro Manosphere. I'll put that down below. So it'll be 3 articles you're going to see. Like, for example, if your official title is sex therapist, you got to have some certifications and or credentials behind that. Most marriage therapists have to have credentials and certifications behind their name. Most divorce counselors have to have credentials and certifications behind their name. Here's the main time you usually have to have credentials and or certifications. If you're dealing with a lot of clients who might be mentally and or emotionally unstable, then you have to usually have some type of certification or credentials, among other things, to prevent yourself from being sued. Like, for example, psychiatrists. You can't be a psychiatrist without certifications, because psychiatrists deal with patients who are sometimes suicidal or suffer from mental illness. And if you say the wrong thing to your client and they go out and commit suicide, or they go out and murder people, You know, you could be held legally and financially accountable for their death. So in situations like that, that's when credentials and certifications come into play. That's why a lot of times when I deal with my clients one-on-one in my consultation sessions, I let clients know that I am not any type of board certified psychologist or psychiatrist or officially credentialed sex therapist, anything like that. And I'm letting you know right now on this video podcast, I think most people do know that about me. I am a dating coach. So yeah, generally any man or woman can call themselves a dating coach or relationship expert without it being mandated that they have certain educational credentials or certain board certifications. Now, here's the one thing, as I expressed in my article that you'll read. If there's one thing and one thing only you got to have to call yourself a dating coach and or a relationship expert, or I would say a self-help guru, period, is you got to have credibility. You got to have simply what's known as credibility. What do I mean when I say credibility? That means you have, to say someone has credibility means that they've achieved some things, accomplished some things, and experienced some things that lend itself to the advice that they're giving people. So, for example, if I'm giving you automobile advice, then I need to have a track record of helping people solve their automobile related problems. If I don't have any track record of helping people solve their automobile related problems, then how can I call myself some kind of automotive advisor? You know what I'm saying? Like, going back to dating relationships, if I was to promote myself as, say, a marriage expert, at minimum, I would have to be married myself. To me, nobody who's not married themselves can call themselves a marriage. Now, I'll be honest, I have given married people advice before. I have some clients who are married that do consult with me, but I don't really promote myself as any type of marriage expert, because I feel like you have to be married to call yourself an expert in marriage. My number one area of expertise, among others, is verbal communication and verbal seduction skills. That's my premier area of expertise. And everyone who knows me knows I have a solidified reputation in that area. A lot of you guys know some of my stories. I mean, I verbally seduced a woman into sucking my dick in a public grocery store. I verbally seduced a woman into sucking my dick in LAX airport. I've verbally seduced a number of women into having sex with me in various public places that my closest friends and older brother know about. And that's why my older brother urged me to write a book about my experiences and my personal principles and philosophies, because he knew about my verbal seduction stories. That's why my nickname is the King of Verbal Seduction. I have credibility. There's some areas related to dating and relationships where I'll openly admit I have an average to less than average area of credibility. For example, let's say I just mentioned marriage. You know, helping people maintain a lengthy marriage. That's not something I would stick my chest out about. Again, I give marriage advice from time to time. The main married people who consult with me are married couples who are curious about the BDSM lifestyle and or the polyamory lifestyle. I have a lot of experience in both. But yeah, there's some areas of dating relationships that I either don't deal with at all or I only put minimum amount of attention on it. Again, my main area of expertise is verbal communication skills and more specifically, verbal seduction. What do I mean when I say verbal seduction? Being able to get a woman's pussy dripping wet without even touching her or kissing on her. I know how to get women's pussies wet just by talking to them. Just by talking to women, I've had women tell me their pussies were dripping wet. Another example of my credibility would be the number of women I've had phone sex with, and more specifically, who have paid me for phone sex. Everybody who knows about me a long time, I've had phone sex with just under 2,000 women over the last 25 years, with a good percentage of those women paying me for regular and semi-regular phone sex, because I know how to make women come just with my voice. Just by the way I talk to them, I know how to make them moan and come. So in that area, when it comes to verbal seduction, I'm a bad motherfucker. Matter of fact, I'm such a bad motherfucker now, even Alexa knows about me. Alexa, tell me about Alan Roger Currie.
Alan Roger Currie, the American author, public speaker and internet radio personality who has written advice books on dating and interpersonal relationships, verbal communication skills, manipulation, seduction, and talking dirty to women.
Thank you, Alexa. I just got Alexa a couple days ago, man. Yeah, see, Alexa knows about Alan Roger Currie. So if you think you better than this dating coach in that area talking dirty, ask Alexa. See if she mentions your name in the same breath as talking dirty. Told you, man, I'm internationally known for my talk dirty skills. That's why my nickname is the King, not the Prince, not the protege, not the work in progress, the King of verbal seduction. So yeah, read that article. You gotta have credibility to be a dating coach, man. Any type of dating. Or now, one more thing on that. I tend to shy away from when people, like, I've been interviewed by a lot of people and they'll introduce me as a relationship expert. Again, I will say I have given people advice related to like a long-term monogamous relationship, but that's not a specialty of mine. Because I'll be the first to openly admit, that's not an area I've had what I would call extraordinary success in. So, I mean, I have my opinions in that area, and I do offer people advice in that area, but I would never promote that as a specialty of mine. I would say in these four categories, long-term monogamous sexual relationships, long-term non-monogamous sexual relationships, short-term monogamous sexual relationships, and short-term non-monogamous sexual relationships, I would say the number one area I have the most credibility versus the least, if I had to rank those from 1 to 4, from most credibility to least credibility, I would say short-term non-monogamous sexual relationships is where I have the most credibility. I generally, particularly when I was in my 20s and 30s, when it came to short-term non-monogamous casual sex, I've generally had my way with women. I mean, that's not to say I've successfully seduced 100% of the women I've come in contact with, but all things considered, I've generally had my way with women when it comes to short-term casual sex. Second area I think I had the most credibility would be long-term non-monogamous sexual relationships. I've had quite a few of those where I've engaged in long-term non-monogamous sex. Third would be short-term monogamous relationships. I define short-term as roughly anything that's 18 months or less. Any relationship that lasts no more than roughly 15 to 18 months, I consider that a short-term relationship. So, yeah, that would be my third area. And I would say my least area of success would be long-term monogamous. Relationships that have lasted a year and a half or longer. Over a year and a half. If when it comes to relationships, like I've only had, I want to say, maybe 2. I'm literally thinking in my life, I've only had 2 relationships that fell in the category of long-term monogamous. Probably my longest was I had a college relationship, and well, technically that wasn't 100% monogamous because I did have sex with other women while I was in that relationship. It was supposed to be though. Yeah, I have issues. Well, as you know from reading my book, The Beta Male Revolution, I don't believe in obligatory monogamy. And as I got older, I came to that conclusion. I only believe in natural, what I refer to as natural monogamy, which is when a woman just on her own chooses to be monogamous with you. And if it tickles your desire, you choose to be monogamous to that woman. But I don't believe in I don't obligate any woman to be monogamous with me. Now, the content area that's going to relate to my other Negro management area. Matter of fact, I want to give a shout out right now to O'Shea Duke Jackson. Man, this YouTube thing is something else, man. As you know, I'm a veteran of podcasting, but I'm more of a veteran of audio-only podcasts. I'm still consider myself a newbie to video podcasting. As you know, I just started doing video podcasts in mid to late April of this year. Man, there's some heavy hitters, man, on YouTube, man. I mean, I've always known that, I guess, for the last few years, but damn, man. Make me feel like hey, now, I did just show you, Alexa knows who I am, so I am a somebody. But that said, man, there's some guys here on YouTube that blow my subscribership just, oh man, out the water, man. Like O'Shea Duke Jackson himself. O'Shea Duke Jackson, he has like 39,000 YouTube subscribers. I was a part of a discussion that lasted almost 5 hours. I've never done a podcast that lasted that long before. I literally want to say that's the first time I've ever took part in a discussion that lasted. My usual maximum is 3 hours. I rarely am involved in a discussion that lasts more than 3 hours. I think a couple times on Blog Talk Radio, I was involved in a discussion that might have gone as long as 3.5 hours. But yeah, man, I was involved in a discussion to do with the NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick and former quarterback Michael Vick. We were talking about some race-related issues on O'Shea Duke Jackson's show yesterday. And I made them laugh because he asked me this question. He said, Alan, don't you think black people have evolved to a point where they can start their own business and be successful without having Caucasian patrons and clients and customers? And I was like, hell no. I said, shoot, I need white people. And everybody on the panel started laughing, but I wasn't totally being joking about that, man. With all due respect to my fellow brothers and sisters, man, I gotta keep shit real. You know I keep shit real on my channel. I have way more black clients. I have way more non-black clients than black clients. Particularly when it comes to single heterosexual my male clients only. Shit. Now when it comes to my female clients and couple clients, it's almost about 50-50. Yeah, like I want to say about roughly 40% of my female clients I work with in the area of BDSM and polyamory are African American. And yeah, I would say about roughly the same percentage in terms of couples I work with. Couples I work with about 40 to 50% black. Now when it comes to the single heterosexual men I work with as a men's dating coach, now there's a lot of black men who purchase my books, my ebooks, my paperbacks, and my audiobooks. So when it comes to purchasing books, yeah, at least based on feedback, I don't know the exact numbers. I can only base it on the feedback I receive. I would say quite a few black men have supported me by buying my books. But if I was evaluating by Skype and telephone consultations and one-on-one face-to-face coaching sessions, oh shit, no. Black people would be in 4th or 5th place in terms of Skype. Yeah, in terms of Skype and telephone consultations and one-on-one face. Like, okay, I'll start with one-on-one face-to-face. I've only worked with 2 black male clients in a one-on-one face-to-face coaching session. That's my most expensive coaching. That ranges anywhere from $1,000 for 4 hours to $2,600 for 14 hours. There was one client I worked with him for 18 hours, and it was more expensive than that. But yeah, that's my range for one-on-one face-to-face coaching. It ranges anywhere from $1,000 to $2,600, which again, I mentioned in the earlier podcast, I have a cousin who works on Wall Street who thinks I'm way undervaluing myself. He says I should be charging no less than 15 grand. And he's not saying that lightheartedly. He firmly believes that. But yeah, of my one-on-one face-to-face coaching, yeah, only 2 of my one-on-one face-to-face coaching clients have been black males. As far as Skype and telephone consultations, I would say only maybe 15, being generous, maybe 20% of my clients are black men. Yeah, if I had to go by race, I would say my highest percentage of clients are Caucasian. Second highest would be Asian. Third would be Hispanic. Fourth would be Middle Eastern. Fifth would be black males. Yep. That would be my... So, shoot, man. You know, because we were joking on the show, like, one of the things we talked about, I don't want to get too much into that discussion. That's a whole nother discussion that has nothing to do with dating relationships. But we were talking about how black people are quick to call other black people coons if they align themselves with white people or seek the favor of white people. Shit. Hey, if y'all think I'm a coon because I have more white male clients than black male clients, be my guest. You got a legal right to call me whatever name. It ain't illegal to call people names. You can call me a coon. That's your constitutional right. You can call me a coon. I don't care. I do not care. I can tell you right now. I do not care. I know what Alan Roger Currie is about. Alan Roger Currie grew up in Gary, Indiana, which at one time was like the 2nd or 3rd most black city in the fucking country. I got nothing but black relatives. I'm in a predominantly black fraternity. I had my last 9-to-5 job was working with minority young black men, helping them achieve their college education. I've worked in the black community, been part of a lot of community efforts for improvement in the black community. So hey, if any of y'all want to call me a coon, have at it. Have at it. Have at it. But you can't support that with anything legitimate or valid. Like, I'm going to be speaking in about 10 weeks. I'm going to be speaking at the 21 convention in Orlando, Florida. I'm going to be the first African American speaker that convention has ever had. So more than likely, it's going to be probably 99% white people there. And some people might say, well, damn, man, Alan cooning because he's going to be talking to nothing but these white people. If you call that cooning, I call it earning a living. That's what I call that, earning a living. Because, man, you know, I got to criticize some of you brothers. Not all, because the black male clients I have are great clients. I've never said anything negative or critical about them. The black male clients that I do have and the black male supporters I do have who follow me and hang on to my knowledge, wisdom, insight, and advice I share with them are nothing but good brothers. So you can excuse yourself from this criticism. But some of y'all other brothers, man, if I had to lightheartedly generalize some of y'all, man, y'all always be trying to get free shit from me, man. Yeah, man, Alan, can you give me like a consultation for free? Can you give me one of your books for free? Can you give me the hookup? I ain't giving you no motherfucking hookup, man. I ain't trying to be homeless and shit. Giving y'all free shit. That's what I do too much of on here, on YouTube, giving y'all free shit. Niggas kill me with that shit. Did I just say the N-word? Damn, it just flowed out there too. Yeah, okay, I'll put it out there. Yeah, I said niggas, Y'all be wanting that free shit, man. Fuck that free shit, man. Can't earn a living giving people free shit. That's why I had to start moving a lot of my videos over to Patreon, where people got to pay for a subscription, man. Y'all be killing me. And I'm not saying only black people are the ones who do that, because quite honestly, I've had some non-black people. I've had some white people here and there, some Hispanic people here and there. I don't think I've ever had any Asian guys or Middle Eastern guys try to get no hookup. But yeah, I've definitely had some white and Hispanic guys. But percentage-wise, the most guys who've tried to get free shit from me is brothers, man. And that's sad to me, man. That's sad to me, man. Y'all, that some of y'all, not all of y'all, not most of y'all. I don't even think 50%. So I don't want to suggest that it's that high, but it's just a small percentage. But yeah, man, some of y'all brothers, man, kill me, try to hit me up for free shit, man. I can't pay no bills with no free shit, giving you free shit. I got bills to pay, man. So anyway, yeah, I joked with O'Shea Duke Jackson that when he asked me that question, I said, shoot, man, I love my white customers. Another thing I would say about a lot of white guys, and I'm doing a little bit of generalizing, but when white guys recognize that they don't have the full understanding of women and the full knowledge of what it takes to be more successful with women, they're not scared to admit that shit. They will come to me and say, hey, Alan, hey, I'm clueless about women. I need your help. And I'm willing to pay you for it. Some brothers, again, I ain't going to say all, I'm not going to say most, but some brothers, man, y'all got a lot of egotistical pride when it comes to seeking help. Even y'all young brothers who don't know shit, like some of y'all 17, 18, 19-year-old brothers who think y'all know 10 times more than you do. Y'all be like, man, I don't need no more one. I don't need read your books, man. I know everything there is to know about women. Yeah, okay, all right. Then why you bitching? That's what I want to know. Why you bitching? That in a second. But yeah, I wanted to quickly give props to O'Shea Duke Jackson because he introduced me to about 3 new YouTubers that I wasn't familiar with. One named Jay Miller Speaks, Anthony Logan Brown, and Dynast. I'm probably fucking up his name. But man, these guys, man, they blow me out the water, man. They got like over 100,000 subscribers, man. Man, how does that feel, man? I think right now I got like 3,000 subscribers, man. I mean, that's decent considering I just started video podcasting back in mid to late April. But, damn, man. You couldn't tell me shit if I had over 100,000 subscribers here on YouTube. Y'all think I got a healthy ego now, boy. If I had over 100,000 subscribers, y'all couldn't tell me shit. Boy. Hey, but like I said, at least Alexa knows who I am. I'm going to ask her again. Alexa, tell me about Alan Roger Currie.
Alan Roger Currie, the American author, public speaker and internet radio personality who has written advice books on dating and interpersonal relationships, verbal communication skills, manipulation, seduction, and talking dirty to women.
Thank you, Alexa. I love that shit, man. I know y'all probably like that. I bet Alan done played that shit like 50 times in the last 2 days, and you would be close to being right. That was the first thing I did. I just got it 2 days ago. First first thing I did when I plugged this motherfucker in, because if you're not familiar with Alexa, it's called the Echo Dot. Google has one. There's about 3 or 4 of these machines now where you can ask them questions and they'll give you the answers if they know them. Now, some things you ask them, they'll say, I don't know that, or I don't have enough information to give you an answer. But yeah, the first thing I did when I plugged in Alexa, this Echo Dot, I said, who is Alan Roger Currie? And she started telling me who Alan Roger Currie was. I said, thank you. That's right. Yeah, man. I was joking about, yeah, man, if I had over 100,000 YouTube subscribers, man. Now, if I had to toot my horn a little bit, I had a couple of episodes of my Blog Talk Radio show that actually had over 100,000 listeners or listens. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Matter of fact, I had a few that went over 50,000 listens. Who calling me on my phone? Y'all probably can hear that, can't you? Somebody's calling me on my mobile phone. I'm gonna wait till that tune goes out. Okay, now, you know, quite frankly, I'm tired of talking about this whole whining and complaining piece. But people, I keep allowing myself to be drawn into further discussions about it. Again, I'm not getting too much blowback on it, if any, on my own channel, which is a great thing. But I've openly admitted that I like to surf other people's channels, you know, and especially if I know my name is being mentioned, or it's a subject similar to a subject I've talked about. And I had this one subscriber, I'm not going to say his name, but he was a former subscriber of mine, and he unsubscribed to me because he said he feels like I'm pandering to women, and then I don't go in hard enough on them, and I'm defending them and all this kind of stuff, and blah, blah, blah. And he had issues with me. The video podcast I did, I think it was video podcast number 26 or number 27, where I said that, where I reiterated that I feel like whining and complaining about women is weak. I'm debating on whether to mention somebody by name. I think I'm probably going to, but I don't want to bring him into drama on my page because he's a guy who generally stays out of drama. But some of the drama did happen on his page. Ah, damn. Shit, I'm worried. Because, see, I don't like to mention names if I know it's going to lead to drama. But, you know. Well, it's a brother I mentioned before. Yeah, I'll go ahead and mention. Ron Wills, whose book I actually mentioned in my original Mode 1 book. Ron Wills, I've known him for a long time. I never met him in person. But he was actually one of the first guys you could say I met in the manosphere. Definitely one of the first black guys I met in the manosphere. Because I've told this story, I think, a couple times already. When I was seeking to turn my ebook into a paperback, because, see, nowadays it's very easy for somebody to become self-published. Very easy. I mean, I think just about anybody in today's society, if they really want to, can come out with a self-published book. But back in the 1980s, 1990s, and arguably even maybe early 2000s, it wasn't quite that easy. You know, it was at least a handful of obstacles you had to overcome. And if nothing else, you had to put up a decent amount of money. So I reached out to Ron Wills to get some advice on self-publishing, and he was nice enough to exchange some emails with me. I think this was, I can't remember if it was 2000 or 2001. I want to say it was 2001. It might have been as early as 2000. Because at that time, I had already written like 3 or 4 drafts of my book. Like my book, Mo 1, the first draft I wrote of Mo 1 was in 1995. That was a pamphlet. It was like a 30-page pamphlet. Then I wrote a second draft in 1996. Then I wrote another draft that I copyrighted in 1998. Then I wrote a draft in 1999. And that was the draft that I started selling on the internet just as an ebook. And I was looking to turn that ebook into a paperback. And there was about 3 people I reached out to for advice. One was Michael Baisden. Some of you might be familiar with him. I don't think too many non-black people would be familiar with him. I want to say he was the first guy I reached out to. He didn't really respond, honestly, not to knock him, but I ended up getting a response more from like one of his assistants or something. But he didn't really. I did meet him in Los Angeles and we talked for about 10-15 minutes, but he didn't really respond. But Ron Wells, who had come out with Nice Guys and Players, his book, I want to say we exchanged probably about 2 or 3 emails. But anyway, enough about our history and how we met. He had a couple of video podcasts in the last couple of days that were at minimum indirectly related to a lot of my subject matter, if not flat out directly related to it. Particularly my issue of criticizing men for whining and complaining. He did one video podcast, which I did comment in his comment section about, it was titled, damn, I'm forgetting the title. Something to the effect of alpha males need to quit picking on beta males. Which I expressed, as I told him, a respectful disagreement with that assertion. And I do. I don't personally, I know some people might look at it that way. I don't think alpha males pick on beta males. I'm sure maybe from time to time, but as it relates to dating relationships, I mean, my legitimate question would be, why would they? I mean, what would be the motivation to? Like, okay, I'll use myself as an example. For most of my life, I've considered myself what I refer to as a womanizing alpha male. I never saw a reason to pick on a beta male or a guy who was less successful with women than me. I mean, why would I need to pick on him? I mean, now, I will say this, and people have witnessed me do this, and this is what I told Rom. I said, I think it's just the opposite. I think guys who are less successful with women, in my opinion and experience, they're the ones who tend to take jabs at the guys who are more successful and more popular than them. So I think it's reversed. That's just me. Now, somebody else could say otherwise. But I would say, I use some of my experience. I would say for me, it started with roughly my senior in high school. I remember my senior in high school, man, I used to have a lot of guys used to hate on me because I was more popular with women than them. Like guys I had never even talked to, never met. Like sometimes I'd be at like a football game, and I would sometimes have girls going crazy over me. And I'm not saying that to be conceited, but I'm being honest, man. Some of my close friends will tell you this. They'll back me up on this. I mean, I literally sometimes I would go to like football games or something, and women would just like scream at me like I was a movie star and shit. And some brothers, I could hear them, they would be a few feet away, but, you know, brothers would say stuff like, oh, man, look at this pretty ass nigga getting all this attention. You know, and they would make comments like almost like they wanted to start a fight with me because they saw that I was popular with the girls. That happened to a lesser extent in college. Not only with me, but with a lot of my frat brothers. You know, a lot of my frat brothers, it was guys who were ladies' man type and womanizer types. And guys used to try to start fights with us because we got more attention than women on campus than they did. And just in my adult life period, man, I've had at different times, not too much, but there's been at least a handful of times I've literally had guys try to start a fight with me, like say at a nightclub or at a party, simply because they saw that I had a way with women. That's why, man, my freshman year in college, I took up martial arts. I didn't get real deep to the point where I earned like black belt status. Shout out to a fraternity brother of mine, George Victor Morrissey, who was my sensei. I studied a discipline that was known as White Dragon or White Tiger or Palam Kung Fu. Now, I don't want none of y'all motherfuckers to think I'm some kind of Bruce Lee type motherfucker, because I'm far from it. But let's just say I know how to defend myself. If I had to divide fighting skills between offense and defense, offense, but defense, I know how to deflect a punch with a quickness. So motherfucker just started swinging on me. I know how to defend myself very well. But yeah, man. So going back to Ron Wales' subject matter, I can't speak for other people's experiences and observations. I can only speak for mine, man. And I've had more, like Ron, he doesn't like to use the terms alpha, beta. He more so likes the term select versus non-select. So if you were to put me in a select category using his terminology and other guys in the non, I've had more non-select guys hate on me because I was select than I've witnessed select guys picking on or hating on non-select guys. I've rarely seen that in my life. I've rarely seen a guy who was a ladies' man or womanizer. Now, what I was going to say is, the one time I will talk shit to a non-select or beta male type is if they talk shit to me first. Now, that's the type of guy I am, man. I usually rarely start shit with people. I mean, maybe 1 or 2% of the time have I done that. But if you start talking shit to me first, now I'm going to bring all guns loaded, so to speak. So when it comes to pulling women, if you try to talk shit to me, oh, dude, I've mentioned this a number of times before. I will become a hardcore motherfucker, man. So yeah, I'm not the motherfucker you want to talk shit with. I mean, if you're just talking about trash talk, cocky, egotistical trash talk, brother, you don't want to get in the trash talk session with me. Especially if I'm selecting you non-select, you don't want to get in no trash talking session with me, because I'm going to hurt your feelings. I'm going to hurt your feelings. Trust me when I say that. I will hurt your feelings. So that's the only time some guys can maybe halfway accuse me of picking on them, is that if you talk some shit to me, I'm going to come out with some very egotistical trash talk to make you feel stupid. Because trust me, it's some motherfuckers that are married right now that got a ring on some women's fingers that my dick was in that dude's wife's mouth within 24 hours after I met her. So, shit. Y'all know my stories about fucking women with husbands and fiancés and boyfriends? Shit. Man. Motherfuckers don't want to be talking shit to me. So anyway, I disagree with it. And I didn't attack Ron for his assertion. I mean, I think everybody's entitled to their. I think we all form our beliefs, our attitudes, and our strong opinions based on our experiences and what we witness, what we observe in our lives. So I never try to argue with people's. Well, I do probably from time to time, but I try not to argue with people's individual opinions that are based on their own individual experiences and observations, because I haven't walked in their shoes, just like they haven't walked in mine. So if it's been Ron Will's experience or observation that alpha males / select guys tend to pick on or try to bully non-select / beta males, then that's his experience and that's his observation. But I can say with conviction that's never been mine. That's never been my experience. Like I said, for me, if anything, it's been just the opposite, man. I mean, that's one of the reasons why the term player hating came into existence. I don't know if any of my non-black clients know about that, so I'm talking a lot of stuff to do with black people right now. But brothers will use the slang phrase, he play hating, or sometimes they just simply say he hating. Yeah, man, like I said, man, starting with my senior in high school, man, a lot of brothers used to play hate on me, man. Because women would tell me. I would usually, if I didn't hear it myself, I would hear it from women. Like women from other schools where I grew up in Gary, they would talk to me all the time. They say, yeah, the guys at my school, they can't stand you, Alan. They call you that pretty ass nigga and that type of stuff. And they'll say, yeah, Alan Currie, he ain't shit. He just one of them pretty ass niggas. Yeah, I used to get hate. It used to blow my mind, man. I mean, I found it both amusing, shocking, and to a very small degree, hurtful at times. Because the thing about it, I guess what tripped me out, man, I was never one to hate on somebody that didn't do anything to me. I mean, I can see if you stole money from me and I hate on you, or you started a fight with my brother and I'm seeking revenge on you or something. But if I ain't had no interaction with you, man, I mean, but that's the reality of life, though. That's the reality of life. I'm not naive, especially now that I'm older. I'm not naive. I mentioned this, I think, in at least one of my previous video podcasts. Here's the reality of life, man. I'm going to borrow Ron Will's terms again, select versus non-select. Motherfuckers don't like, there's a lot of men in society, I'm not just talking about black men, I'm talking about now all men. A lot of men do not like to see another man have an easier time attracting women and seducing women than themselves. Period. End of story. And that's a fact. That's not as much of an opinion, that's a fact. I mentioned in a previous video, probably that's one of the reasons why men are so intensely competitive with each other to a large degree, and that's one of the reasons why, to a certain degree, why a lot of men are violent with each other. A lot of men literally passionately hate seeing another man be able to easily pull a higher quality of women than themselves and or a higher quantity of women than themselves. They hate that shit, man. I'm telling you, man, there are a lot of men that literally hate that shit. And this brings me to something else I've talked about in a few previous video podcasts. That's why a lot of guys don't like the idea of women being free to be promiscuous and polyamorous. Is because, see, if there was a strict law that every woman had to engage in a monogamous relationship, then obviously men couldn't have multiple wives, multiple fiancés, multiple girlfriends, multiple concubines, and casual sex lovers. But see, because our society is such, and many societies around the world are such, that women are free to engage in promiscuous and or polyamorous sexual behavior, what does that mean? That means that most women are naturally going to gravitate towards more of the womanizing alpha male / select type guys. That's just natural. That's why you have this concept that's being discussed in recent years known as hypergamy. That's why hypergamy is such a big issue. That's basically what hypergamy centers around, is the idea that if women have the freedom to fuck who they want to fuck outside the context of marriage and outside the context of a committed boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, more often than not, when it comes, if nothing else, when it comes to casual sex, women are just going to naturally gravitate towards the guys who they feel are the most sexually desirable, the most confident, the most erotically dominant, the most sexually desirable. And as most of you know about the infamous 80-20 rule, there's been psychologists who suggest that only about 20% of the men in society fall into that highly sexually desirable category. The other 80% of men in society, in order for them to have sex with women, they're going to either have to offer a promise of long-term monogamy, or they're going to have to offer financial and material resources, or a combination of the two. But as far as being able to have sex with women without promising long-term monogamy and without offering to spend big money on women, the only guys who are going to be able to achieve that is guys who women feel are highly sexually desirable based on their looks, their confidence, their demeanor, body language, verbal communication skills, verbal seduction skills, etc. That's just real, man. That's just real. So anyway, my second mention of Brother Ron, he did a video podcast today where he said, and I want to say he told me it wasn't directed at me, but I ain't gonna lie, I felt like it was, at least indirectly, but maybe it wasn't. I'll take him on his word. But he did a podcast where he said criticizing women on their bad behavior is not representative of being weak or representative of beta male behavior. I'll say this about me and Brother Ram. Ram is somebody that probably generally, if there's 100 issues to be talked about related to dating relationships, me and him are probably going to agree on 90 to 95% of those issues. But as with anybody, outside noise. As with anybody, man, including fellow dating coaches, fellow pickup artists, I've had a number of philosophical disagreements with people, you know, and that doesn't mean that it causes me to dislike that person or have personal beef with that person. I think grown men can have intellectual and philosophical disagreements, but still, you know, maintain a good relationship and a good friendship. And Ron Wills, I would put him in that category. You know, I've disagreed with a handful of things he said, and I'm sure he's probably disagreed with some things I've said, but me and him have never engaged in any type of personal attacks with each other, personal, you know, beef with each other. But yeah, I didn't get to listen to his whole podcast, so in fairness, I'm going by just the title and the brief excerpt I heard. I think I heard it was like a 15-minute podcast. I think I heard the first 5 minutes. But here's what I would say, and then I'm going to go on to other issues. Where are we at now? Damn, I'm almost at 59 minutes already. Fuck. He made the argument, at least from what I gather, I didn't hear the whole podcast, but Ron made the argument that there are guys who are ladies' men, womanizers, and alpha males, and what he calls select men, who will harshly criticize a woman and still experience romantic and sexual success with those women. I would have agree with that and have disagree with that. Depends on how he's defining. See, here's where I would differ. There's a difference between putting a woman in check and whining and complaining. Those are two different things. And this relates to one of my other articles below about, I wrote an article in the Negro Manosphere about a man earning a woman's respect. See, another shout I want to give to Big Mike of Mac City Limits. Big Mike, he did an interview with me, man. Big ups to Big Mike of Mac City Limits. But one thing me and Big Mike talked about on his podcast show, Mac City Limits, I'll put a link to it below. He made this comment that I totally agree with. Now again, some of my non-black people, y'all not up on a lot of black slang, even though with the way social media is, I think a lot of non-black people are hip to a lot of black slang and, you know, informal language. But there's a phrase that has gone around for years where certain guys will say, "Oh, that brother got it like that. Look at your boy, man. He's a straight up pimp. He got it like that." You know. And Big Mike, he made this comment during our interview. He said, see, I was just a few minutes ago talking about how I've had guys hate on me because they saw that I had a way with women. And they saw that I was able to get away with shit that they weren't able to get away with. And I've talked about that in a couple of my previous video podcasts. Like, I was saying that there's a lot of shit alpha males can get away with that beta males simply can't get away with. And, I mean, that's not as much opinion as it is fact. And that's what Big Mike was saying during our conversation. He said he's witnessed both. He was like, there's some shit I can get away with women that other guys can't get away with. And he said on the flip side, I've been around some situations where I wasn't able to get away with shit that other guys were able to get away with. And I would say generally, I'm putting myself in the same category. Like, I'll give you a simple example. And I use this example in my book, The Beta Male Revolution. I said, if a woman perceives you as a womanizing alpha male, and you start talking to her about sex in a very X-rated, explicit manner, she's going to have more of a reaction like, you so bad, you nasty, you bad. But if a woman perceives you as being like a total beta male type, and you were to start off a conversation trying to be sex, she's going to be like, ew, that's disgusting, that's gross, I don't want to talk about sex with you, I'm sorry, I don't want to talk about sex with you. Let's talk about another subject, or I don't want to talk to you at all. I don't want to talk to you about sex. That's the type of reactions they're going to have, man. I've had many of my male friends tease me about that. They'll say, Alan, man, you're able to get away with triple X-rated conversations with women that a lot of guys are not able to get away with. I've had women say that about me. Like, I've had women tell me that directly. They say, Alan, I don't allow men to talk to me in a sexually explicit manner the way I allow you to talk to me, particularly in the very first conversation. So yeah, I've had friends make the comment about me like, damn, my boy Alan Roger Currie, he got it like that. And so going back to Ron Will's video podcast today, I was making the distinction that there's a difference between being able to put a woman in check as an alpha male and still get laid versus whining and complaining. I'll give you a couple examples. Let's say me and a woman are at the movie theater, and the woman I'm with starts yik-yakking to the point where she's starting to distract other people in the movie theater. If I say, yo, bitch, shut the fuck up. People in here are trying to watch the movie. Shut the fuck up. Get off your goddamn phone and shut the fuck up. And she says, yes, sir, I'm sorry. Yes, daddy, I'm sorry. See, what I did, was that whining and complaining? No. That was me putting that bitch in check. Alpha males do that a lot. You know, I can name a lot of women in my life and that's what my article deals with, that article I wrote in Negro Manosphere about respect. I said, as a man, you got to have strong backbone and you got to be willing to put a woman in check. You know? Now, here's the contrast between putting a woman in check and whining and complaining. Let's say I was in that movie theater with that same woman and she pulled out her phone and started talking to one of her girlfriends. And I said, Linda, come on, Linda. Why do you keep talking on the phone? We're in the movie theater, Linda. Come on. Give me a break. Come on, please. Will you please get off the phone? Come on, Linda. That's not putting a woman in check. That's whining and complaining like a little bitch. Big difference. You see the difference? That is a big difference. A big difference. Like, I remember one time, one of my fuck buddies, I was living in Los Angeles. She started tripping on me. So you know what I did? I left her crib. And my brother, man, and my other friends used to say, man, that's cold when you do stuff like this. I used to do this to women and some guys sometimes. I went over another chick's crib, another fuck buddy's crib, and while I was fucking her, I called the one who was tripping on me and let her hear this other chick moaning to my dick. And guess what? The next time I interacted with the fuck buddy who was tripping, man, she was so obedient and submissive that was my way of putting her in check. I was basically like, bitch, if you ain't gonna appreciate my dick, I got other choices. That's one of the things I said in the article, man. And I've said this on previous podcasts, so this is some free advice for you, but, you know, this is some advice I've given you a number of times. The most effective way to keep women in check, man, is to have multiple options. That's the single most effective way to keep a woman in check and keep a woman from tripping off you, is to let her know, either with your words, your actions, or both, that you got other options other than her. Once a woman knows that she is your number one option for sexual companionship, or worse, your only option, she always gonna try to play games with you. She always gonna try to challenge you and test you. She always gonna try to fuck with your head, because she know you ain't got no other options. Dude, that's one of my most effective ways of putting a woman in check, is I let her know that there are other women who want this. If she's not going to show appreciation for my dick, there's other women who will. And yeah, when I was younger, I would call women and let them hear me fucking other women. I've done that with dudes when they piss me off. I call them and be fucking a bitch so they can listen. Brothers be like, damn, man, you wrong for that, man. Like, say me and one of my male friends, we got an argument about something. I called one of my buddies, man. He would have to hear me fuck unless he just hung up immediately. But usually their curiosity would get the best of them. They would listen for a few minutes. Yeah, man, shit. But yeah, man, there's a big difference between, so here's where I agree with Ron Wills from what I understand about his assertion. Again, I don't know if I fully understood his assertion. And here's where I disagree. If he made the argument that, yeah, you can be an alpha male and still criticize women and call out women and still get pussy, yeah, again, you can put a woman in check and let a bitch know when she tripping, and yeah, you gonna still get pussy. I won't deny that for a second. But again, I tend to distinguish that from whining and complaining. You know, like, if I'm horny and I tell a woman to suck my dick, I expect her to say, yes, sir, and get on her knees and suck my dick. Now, if she starts tripping, and I tell her a second time, I say, yo, you need to suck daddy's dick. Or I'm about to go get my dick sucked by one of my other fuck buddies, one of my other BDSM subs. And they say, yes, sir, I'm sorry for keeping you waiting. Then they dropped their knee and sucked my dick. Was that whining and complaining? No, I put that bitch in check. Now, if I ask a woman to suck my dick and she's acting like she's hesitating or reluctant, and I go, come on, I'm so horny, come on, can't you just suck my dick? Come on, please, come on. Why you gotta always give me a hard time? Come on. That's whining and complaining. That shit's weak. That shit's weak. Come on, man. That's weak. I don't even say anybody can argue with that or disagree with that. That's weak. It ain't just single guys, man. I know guys who always complaining about how their wife treats them, how their fiance treats them, how their girlfriend treats them. My question to you is this. Why are you allowing it? That's the $1 million question. If your complaint is that a woman doesn't treat you right, if a woman treats you in an undesirable or disrespectful manner, my question to you is, why are you allowing it? I want you to answer that for me. Why are you allowing it? Because see, when it comes to dealing with women on a professional level, like say a coworker or your female boss or something like that, to a certain extent, man, you gotta tolerate bullshit in a work environment. Ain't too much you can do unless they just really blatantly treating you unfairly. But on a personal and social level, man, you can just leave a woman the fuck alone if she starts tripping. You can leave a woman the fuck alone. You can go your own way. Shout out to MGTOW. You know, you could go your own way, man. You ain't got to take no shit from no woman on a personal or social level. So I'm asking you, if you're complaining about how your wife, fiance, or girlfriend is treating you, why are you allowing that shit? Here's my other related issue. and this is me taking a jab, yeah, some fellow YouTubers I've listened to commentary over the last few weeks, few months. Not necessarily guys who call themselves dating coaches or relationship experts, but just guys who like to offer their opinions on male-female relationship dynamics. Some of you guys, man, are talking out of both sides of your mouth. That's one thing I can quickly identify in a guy, is when you're talking out of both sides of your mouth. What does that mean? That means you're speaking in contradictory terms. Here's an example. And this also relates to the whole whining and complaining thing. You can't sit on your audio or video podcast and suggest to your listeners and followers that you're an above average ladies man or some kind of womanizer of some sort, but then turn around and bitch about women. That doesn't jive. And I'm here to tell you, that doesn't jive. That don't even make sense. That don't make logical sense. And I've probably heard at least 3 or 4 guys on YouTube do that type of shit. In one breath, they'll say, yeah, man, I've been getting a lot of pussy in the last year, in the last 2 years, or I get my pick of the women, but then they turn around and bitch about women. I'm here to tell you, I don't know if you're consciously aware of this shit, but anybody who's halfway intelligent and perceptive recognize this, man. There's a phrase, man, game recognizes game. Another phrase similar is, we smell our own. I used that with somebody recently. I told him, I smell my own, man. What that means is, if you're a top-notch ladies man, you can usually within seconds or minutes after meeting a guy, you can recognize if they got the traits of a top-notch ladies man. If you're a top-notch womanizer, you can fairly quickly recognize other guys who have both the physical and personality traits of a womanizer. Things like the way they use their eyes, the way they use their voice, the shit they talk about, how they walk, how they generally carry themselves. You can tell, man. You can tell, man. I can tell, man. Dude, man, I'm here to tell you, man. If you always whining and complaining about what's fucked up about women's behavior, but in the same breath, you trying to tell me that you're some kind of ladies man woman, that don't make sense, man. Because here's another $1 million question for you. Typically, if you're whining and complaining about women's behavior, it's usually because women are not behaving in the manner that you would prefer them to. But then that leads me to the question, if women are not behaving towards you in the way that you want them to, then that means you ain't got it like that. Hence why you frustrated, why you have bitterness, resentment, and frustration, because you ain't got it like that. See, why you rarely hear me whining and complaining about women's behavior is because I only deal with women who behave towards me in the exact manner that I want them to. If a woman's not obedient to me, submissive to me, and generally doesn't act the way I want her to act towards me, I don't fuck with them. I'll go on to the next woman. I'll leave that woman alone. Once a woman starts tripping on me, I don't start yelling at them or cursing at them or going off on them and calling them a bunch of names. I just simply leave them the fuck alone, man. I give them 1, maybe 2 warnings to straighten up, and if they don't, I leave them the fuck alone. Period. I don't tolerate bullshit from women. That's why I don't do a lot of whining and complaining, because I don't tolerate. The number one way to prevent yourself from whining and complaining is not to tolerate bullshit from women in the first place. So if you're trying to tell me that you're successful, you're experiencing above average level of success with women, but you're following that up by criticizing women all the time and expressing frustration over why they don't change or improve upon their behavior, that leads me to believe you don't have no successful women. I would have more respect for you if you just flat out said, hey, I'm a guy who sucks with women, and that's why I am bitter and frustrated and feeling resentful towards women, because right now in my life, I am experiencing a complete lack of success. Then that's when I will recommend my books to you. I will recommend my coaching sessions, my consultation sessions, and we can take it from there. And that's what most of my clients do. Just about all my clients who come to me, whether they're white, black, Asian, Hispanic, they're honest enough to say, hey, Alan, I'm clueless with women. I don't think I fully understand women. I need some help. I need some help better understanding women. I need some help with my verbal communication skills, with my body language, with my ability to recognize signs of interest versus disinterest, etc. Then I work with guys. But again, man, don't try to talk out of both sides. Don't do it. Well, technically, I ain't gonna say don't do it, because you got a right to do whatever the fuck you want to do on your YouTube channel. So I ain't gonna tell nobody what they don't have a right to do. You can talk about, you can be contradictory and hypocritical as hell on your YouTube channel, because it's your YouTube channel. But I'm just letting you know, it makes you look stupid to a motherfucker like me, that you trying to suggest to me that you have a fairly decent level of success with women, but you turn around by whining and bitching about women. That don't make no sense, man. That don't make no sense. I'm a BDSM dom. I train women, dog. I get paid. Women pay me money to train them. Did you hear that? Women pay me money to train them. Husbands pay me money to train their wives. Men pay me money to train their girlfriends. So I know what the fuck I'm talking about. And I dare anybody to challenge me and say, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. People pay me to train women. That's part of what I do. And on a personal and social level, every woman I deal with, I train them on how to behave towards me. And like I said, if they don't get with my program, I fairly quickly leave them the fuck alone. I don't be on the phone with no woman. Why won't you act the way I want you to act? Come on, please, come on. Give me a break. Come on, why won't you shape up? Why won't you? No, you ain't gonna never hear Alan Roger Currie saying that shit. I let women know what my program is. If they not 100% down for my program, they are dismissed. They are dismissed. They free to go hook up with another motherfucker. They ain't gonna be fucking around with Alan Roger Currie long term. That's for damn sure. And if I want to talk shit to him, I'll say, how my cum taste? Yeah, I ain't ready for that. How my cum taste? Anyway, what am I at now? Hour and 18 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up. So yeah, man. Recap. Yeah, there's a difference between being man enough to have the backbone enough to put women in check about their fucked up behavior, about their bullshit behavior. You gotta be man enough to let women know that you won't tolerate bullshit from them. And if they persistently continue to challenge you, you gotta leave them the fuck alone, man. And that's one of my primary differences and delineations between an alpha male and a beta male. It's not just simply which guy gets more pussy and which guy gets less pussy, but an alpha male is a guy that does not allow any woman to treat him like a punk, a chump, a simp, or whatever. He runs the relationship. He wears the pants in all his relationships. That's an alpha male, man. You're a beta male. If you let women run the relationship with you, you're a beta. You're a straight up beta male, man. If women are dictating how they want you to behave towards them, that's beta, man. That's beta. When you alpha, you dictate how women behave towards you. And along with that, because of that, no alpha male's going to ever be whining and complaining about a woman's behavior, because he dictates how women behave towards him. He lets women know, either you're going to behave like this towards me, or you ain't going to fuck with me. You ain't going to fuck with me. Number 2 recap, and I've already given this recap in previous video podcasts. The moment you put a woman on a pedestal, I have a phrase, no first prizes. No first prizes. I think that was my hashtag one time. No first prizes. Yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure of it. No first prizes, man. What that means is you never want to immediately treat a woman like she's either your number 1 option for sexual companionship, or worse, your only option for sexual companionship. That's when you asking to be treated like a chump. You asking for a woman to play games with you, test your manhood, and treat you like a chump. I'm getting a woman first prize, man. Fuck that. And the other thing was about alpha males picking on beta males. That's never been my experience, man. I mean, I know when you're like in elementary, middle school, high school, sometimes bigger guys will pick on smaller frame guys. I'm not ignorant to that. I'm not naive to that. So there's definitely guys who are bullies, mainly because, certain young boys, once they discover that their genetics have led them to become taller than their other male classmates, more muscular than their other male classmates, their temptation is to take advantage of that and become a bully. I don't think I've ever bullied another guy in my life, at least not knowingly or intentionally. If I did, it might have been unintentionally. But, for me personally, I'm a guy. The only time I really get involved with shit with people, man, is when they bringing a fight to me. I rarely if ever start drama with people or start fights with people. But if people want to start some shit with me, I'll go there. So, I got to do it. They say third time. Third time's charm. I got to do it one more time. I know this is narcissistic as hell, ain't it? For me to keep asking Alexa this. I know. I'm being narcissistic right now. Alexa, who is Alan Roger Currie?
Alan Roger Currie, the American author, public speaker and internet radio personality who has written advice books on dating and interpersonal relationships, verbal communication skills, manipulation, seduction, and talking dirty to women.
Thank you, Alexa. That just cracks me up, man. That cracks me up. See? Brother, I was talking about talking trash. If y'all want to talk trash to me, I'm going to say, okay, buy an Echo Dot and ask Alexa, who is your name? And see if anything comes up. She's going to say, I'm sorry, I don't know who that is. Or, I don't have enough information to answer that question. Hashtag. Damn, I'm debating. This is one of the longest I've ever debated on my hashtag. Because usually I establish my hashtag before I go on air. But I didn't this time. So that's why I'm trying to think what's the most relevant hashtag for the stuff I've talked about. Because I was tempted to use a second time, no first prizes, but I don't want to use that. I know it. It's going to be kind of long, but I know what this one. Hashtag get women on my program. Get women on my program. That's my hashtag. Get women on my program. That's the number one thing that'll solve all your whining and complaining problems, man. Only deal with women that are willing to adhere to your program. To your program. You don't want to ever be in a position when you're repeatedly and regularly adhering to a woman's program. Because I'm telling you, man, in the short term, things might seem okay in a relationship when you adhere to a woman's program, but I guarantee you, mark my words, trust me, mark my word, in the long run, you're going to end up feeling very bitter, frustrated, resentful. You might even commit an act of domestic violence because you're going to get so pissed off when you don't follow women's programs, man. That's the singular biggest difference, in my opinion, between being an alpha and a beta, man. When you follow a woman's program, that means you are beta, man. If you are enthusiastically willing to adhere to a woman's terms and conditions for interacting with her, that means you're beta, man. An alpha male, he establishes his program, and he only allows himself to interact with women romantically or sexually who are willing to adhere to his program. And when women are willing to adhere to your program, there's no need for you to bitch about their behavior, whine and complain about their behavior. There's simply no need. Have a good one.
Yes, sir.
Say it again.
Yes, sir.
Who's the king?
Alan, you're the king.
Say it again.
Alan, you're the king. You're dominating me.
Say it again.
Alan, you're dominating me right now. Mode 1.
Mode 1.
Daddy, can I go, please? You're the king.
Say it again.
Oh, you're the fucking king. Yes. Yes. Yes.
You're the king, Alan.
AKA the king of verbal seduction. You know, it's the tone of your voice, how seductive your intonations are, the vibrations that you could just reach out over the phone lines and stroke a woman's breast just by the sound of your voice, how you could make her pussy so wet just by the sound of your voice. That's actually very hot.
So you said my show was what?
I said your show is powerful.
Oh, say it again.
Your show is powerful.
But the king would fuck me really good.
Oh, yeah. Who's the king?
Alan Roger Currie.
Oh, yeah. Who's the king?
Alan Roger Currie. The king.
The king.
The king.